Grandmacore Style for 2025. Rustic DIY and vintage decor inspiration. Welcome to your cozy haven of rustic charm and vintage nostalgia. In this tutorial, we're diving straight into the heart of Grandmacore Style. From embroidery hoops to antique teacups, we're going to show you how to turn everyday items into a charming, old-soul sanctuary. Grab your favorite tea and let's begin. In 2025, Grandmacore isn't just aesthetic. It's a lifestyle of simplicity, coziness, and DIY creativity. You don't need a farm or a Victorian attic to pull it off. Just a little patience, texture, and imagination. Let's begin our journey into the comforting world of rustic DIY and vintage decor. Welcome to Grandmacore 2025. In 2025 mixes nostalgic charm with modern mindfulness. Start by choosing a warm color palette, soft creams, faded florals, muted pastels. Incorporate vintage textures like crochet, lace, and distressed wood in key decor items. Simplicity is key. Don't overcrowd your space. Add emotional elements, framed handwritten recipes, teacup candles, old novels. Display them with love, as if curating memories. Let nature in. Dried lavender, sunflowers, and herbs can transform a shelf. Grandmacore is more than decor. It's comfort, memory, and handmade joy. Use secondhand shops for authentic finds. Older items often have the charm you can't replicate with new purchases. DIY floral embroidery wall art. Start with a wooden embroidery hoop, a soft linen or cotton fabric, and floral-colored threads. Stretch the fabric tightly into the hoop. Lightly sketch a floral pattern using a fabric pencil or chalk. Then begin with a backstitch to outline petals, and fill with satin stitch or lazy daisy stitch. Use soft colors like dusty rose, sage green, or butter yellow. You can add initials or little motifs for a personal touch. When finished, trim the excess fabric at the back and glue the edges down. Hang it with vintage ribbon, or lean it against an old book on a shelf. Tea stain your fabric beforehand for a gentle, aged appearance that elevates the vintage look. Supplies you'll need for embroidery. Gather an embroidery hoop, cotton or linen fabric, embroidery thread in muted tones, needles, scissors, and fabric pencil. Choose hoop sizes based on wall space or how detailed your design will be. Good lighting and a simple thimble help reduce finger strain during longer sessions. For beginners, start with 6-strand embroidery floss and separate it into 2 to 3 strands for cleaner work. Keep your thread organized using bobbins or a simple pin cushion. Soft, pre-washed fabric reduces puckering. A small sewing box helps store and protect supplies. Use a magnetic needle minder to avoid misplacing your needle while switching threads. Basic stitches for a vintage look. Start with easy stitches like the backstitch for outlines and the satin stitch for filling in petals or leaves. Lazy Daisy is perfect for quick floral motifs. These three cover most vintage embroidery designs. Practice each on a scrap cloth before working on your final piece. Keep your stitches tight but relaxed, too taut and the fabric puckers. Use a hoop to keep your tension consistent. For a rustic look, uneven stitches add handmade charm. Embrace imperfection, it adds authenticity. Use embroidery floss in slightly varied tones of the same color to create depth and vintage softness. Tea staining fabric for an aged effect. Brew strong black tea 3 to 5 bags in a cup of hot water. Soak light-colored fabric in the tea for 10 to 30 minutes, depending on the desired shade. Remove and lay flat to dry for an even tint. This adds a warm, antique tone perfect for Grandmacore themes. For a mottled, worn look, crumple the fabric slightly before soaking. You can also add a splash of vinegar to help set the color. Once dry, iron the fabric on low heat to smooth it out. This technique works beautifully on doilies and embroidery backings. Use different teas like Earl Grey or Chamomile for subtle tone variations. Creating teacup candles from thrift finds. Choose vintage teacups from thrift stores. Look for floral or gold-rimmed ones for extra charm. Clean them thoroughly, then glue a wick to the center using a hot glue gun. Set aside while preparing the wax. You're creating beauty from forgotten pieces. Choose soy wax for a cleaner, smoother finish. Once your wax is melted and scented, pour it carefully into the teacup, holding the wick upright. Secure it with a stick until it sets. Let cure for 24 hours before lighting. Add dried flower petals or herbs on the surface before the wax hardens for a decorative touch. How to melt and pour soy wax safely. Use a double boiler to slowly melt soy wax flakes. Stir occasionally and maintain a low, steady heat. When the wax reaches around 170 degrees Fahrenheit 76 degrees Celsius, remove from heat. Always use a thermometer for safe and accurate pouring. Let the wax cool slightly, around 140 degrees Fahrenheit, before adding fragrance oil. Pour slowly into your prepared teacups, keeping the wick centered. Use a wick holder or a clothespin to keep it straight. Always handle melted wax on a heat-safe surface. Never microwave wax. It can overheat or burn unevenly. Always use stovetop melting. Fragrance ideas for a cozy vibe. Use scents that evoke warmth and comfort. Lavender, vanilla, rose, cinnamon, and bergamot are perfect for a nostalgic ambience. Add 1 ounce of fragrance oil per pound of wax, stirred in gently. Always choose candle-safe oils. Create your own blends. Try lavender vanilla or rosemary orange for something unique. Test your scents by dabbing them on fabric before adding to wax. You want soft, lingering aromas, not overpowering ones. Soft scent throw is part of Grandmacore's gentleness. For a vintage vibe, use old perfume bottles or apothecary jars to store leftover fragrance oils. Teacup candles the Grandmacore way. Set your teacup candles on crochet doilies or linen runners. Cluster them in odd numbers with dried flowers and old books. They work beautifully on windowsills, side tables, or vintage trays. Layer with lace for added softness. Try grouping them by color or floral design. Mix and match different heights using books as risers. Add a personal element, like a framed black and white photo nearby. Your candle becomes part of a warm, lived-in story. Use a mirrored tray to reflect candlelight and enhance that vintage glow. Wood for that rustic charm. Start with raw or unfinished wood. Sand lightly and apply a diluted whitewash using chalk paint and water. Let it dry, then distress edges with coarse sandpaper or steel wool. Focus on corners and natural wear spots. For deeper texture, use a hammer, nails, or chain to create subtle dents. You can layer paint, white over gray or brown, and sand through for depth. Seal with matte clear wax to preserve the finish. It'll look like it came from Grandma's attic. Rub a candle along the edges before painting to create natural-looking chips. How to style a vintage shelf. Use layered textures, lace runners, wood trays, glass jars to set your base. Stack antique books horizontally and vertically. Add one tall item like a candlestick and balance it with smaller pieces. Odd-numbered groupings work best. heirloom pieces or family mementos. Drape a pearl necklace over a book stack, or place a doily under a vintage teacup. Keep some negative space. It lets the eye rest and adds calm. Rearranging seasonally keeps it fresh. Use a small mirror at the back of the shelf to bounce light and make it feel more open. Lace runners and crochet accents. Layer lace runners on wood surfaces like buffets, dressers, or tables. Add contrast by placing vintage books or jars directly on the fabric. Crochet doilies work beautifully under teacups, candles, or vases. They soften hard edges and add detail. You can repurpose large lace pieces into curtain valances or placemats. Mix new and old crochet pieces for contrast. Don't worry about matching, variety adds character. For an aged look, tea-stain new lace before use. Attach small doilies to plain pillow covers for instant Grandmacore flair. Decor staples: dried flowers, books, and jars. Gather mason jars, apothecary bottles, and vintage tins. Fill them with dried lavender, eucalyptus, or wildflowers. Stack old books with worn covers tied in twine. Place them on trays, shelves, or bedside tables. Add texture with burlap, ribbon, or lace wrapped around the jars. Use faded paper or vintage postcards as backdrops. Mixing heights and textures keeps things visually interesting. Rotate items seasonally to stay inspired. Lightly scent dried flowers with essential oil to keep the room smelling fresh. Making patchwork cushion covers. Choose coordinating scrap fabrics in gingham, florals, or soft solids. Cut them into equal squares. 6 by 6 inches is a good size. Arrange them in a pleasing layout before sewing. Stitch rows together, then join the rows into a front panel. Sew a solid or matching back panel with a zipper or envelope style closure. Press seams flat for a clean look. Once done, insert a cushion and fluff gently. It brings instant Grandmacore warmth to any chair or bed. Mix vintage fabric from old blouses or tablecloths to give your cushion a real history. Choosing fabrics: florals, gingham, and pastels. Stick to soft, nostalgic patterns like tiny florals, faded gingham, and subtle checks. Pastels like blush pink, baby blue, sage, and ivory work best. You can mix in tea-stained linens or repurpose old pillowcases for authentic charm. Always pre-wash to prevent shrinkage. Balance bold prints with quieter tones. Use florals on large pieces like cushion covers and gingham for trim or binding. Layering soft textures like muslin, lace, and cotton adds tactile warmth. Let your fabric tell a story of gardens, kitchens, and quiet mornings. Don't overlook worn fabric edges. They add character and texture to patchwork or trims. Easy sewing steps for a handmade pillow. Cut your front fabric to the size of your pillow insert, adding 1/2 inch seam allowance. For the back, use 2 overlapping panels for an envelope-style closure. Pin and sew the right sides together, leaving the back opening. Turn right side out and press flat. Add hand-stitched embellishments or buttons for a vintage twist. Use a zigzag stitch around the edges if you're not using a serger. You can even add a hidden sachet of dried lavender inside. It's a pillow and a scent experience. Use lace trim or crochet appliques for an authentic Grandmacore touch. Mix and match patterns like Grandma did. The secret to mixing patterns is scale and tone. Pair small florals with larger checks or stripes. Stick to a cohesive color palette like soft mauves, creams, or faded greens. Grandma never matched perfectly, and it was beautiful. Layering contrasting patterns works best when one dominates and the others support. Use solids as visual breaks. The goal is charm, not chaos. Let sentimentality and practicality guide your combinations. Lay your fabric out together before cutting. What feels warm and inviting will always work. Quick wins, 5-minute decor hacks. Wrap old books in lace or floral fabric. Stack them in top with a jar of dried herbs. Swap plain knobs for glass or porcelain ones. Or fill a vintage bowl with wooden spools or buttons. Hang a doily on the wall with a simple clothespin. Use an old scarf as a table runner. Tuck handwritten letters into a mirror frame. Small changes bring big cozy impact in minutes. Keep a quick decor box of small items to refresh a shelf or table instantly. Upcycling old kitchen tools into decor. Old graters become charming lanterns, just pop in a candle. Hang ladles or colanders on the wall as planters. A worn rolling pin makes a great towel holder. Let your tools tell a story of years gone by. Mount wooden spoons or pastry cutters in a frame. Paint cast iron trivets and use them as rustic wall tiles. The imperfections add authenticity. Your kitchen becomes part museum, part memory. Label each upcycled item with the family name or story using mini chalkboard tags. Framing handwritten recipes for nostalgia. Select old family recipes, bonus points if they're handwritten or splattered. Mount them on laceback paper or inside a shadow box. A vintage frame elevates it to art. Hang near the kitchen or your baking area. Add tiny objects like measuring spoons, a whisk charm, or a fabric swatch to the frame. These turn the frame into a mini memory altar. Use glassless frames for tactile texture. It's a tribute to family warmth and flavor. Scan the original and print copies if you don't want to risk damaging the handwriting. Cozy corners with crochet and candles. Pick a soft armchair or bench by a window. Drape a thick crochet throw and place a floral cushion. Add a side table with a teacup candle and vintage book stack. Instantly, you have a Grandmacore nook. Use sheer curtains and layered rugs to soften the light and texture. Add scent with a dried lavender sachet. Play quiet music or leave a journal nearby. This space becomes a retreat from noise and rush. Place a small lamp with a crocheted cover or scarf for a filtered golden glow. Layering textures for a warm finish. Combine rough and soft textures: linen with crochet, wood with lace, metal with burlap. Layer rugs, blankets, and pillow covers of various weaves. Add wicker baskets and soft wool socks to enhance comfort. Your space should feel like a hug. Play with height and layering vertically: wall hooks, shelf textures, stacked crates. Repetition with variety makes the eye linger. Let texture lead before color. The more layers, the more lived in the look. Texture doesn't have to cost. Mix thrifted knits, faded towels, or even quilt remnants. Where to thrift for Grandmacore decor. Visit charity shops, church bazaars, and estate sales. Look for embroidery hoops, linens, vintage cups, and lace in overlooked bins. Flea markets on Sundays are gold mines for wooden furniture. Go early for best finds. Online groups or apps like Facebook Marketplace often list vintage bundles. Ask older family members if they have unused linens or keepsakes. Sometimes treasures are hiding in your own attic. Explore with heart, not speed. Always carry a tape measure and a tote bag. You'll find more than you expect. Before and after Grandmacore Makeover. Show the before space. Plain shelf, bare couch, blank walls. Start adding crochet, dried flowers, embroidery, and soft lighting. Replace modern clutter with nostalgic charm. Watch your space transform into a vintage retreat. Document each layer, from fabric choice to candlelight. Show the emotional difference, how it feels. Grandmacore isn't just decoration. It's a story you live inside. Use soft transitions and calming music for a peaceful transformation montage. Thank you for watching. Stay cozy. Thanks for joining this Grandmacore DIY journey. Every stitch, candle, and cup adds comfort to your home. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your creations with us. Cozy isn't a trend, it's a way of life. Tag us with #Grandmacore2025 on socials. And remember, your home is a reflection of love, care, and creativity. Until next time, stay warm, stay handmade, stay vintage. Rewatch with a notebook to track the projects you want to try first.